Good day, I'm Jeff Jowett, Senior Applications Engineer with Megger, and now we're going to take a look at another product line that Megger pioneered over a century ago and has been steadily developing ever since, the low resistance ohmmeter. Now when we're talking about low resistance, it's critical to keep in mind that we're talking about measurements that are below 1 ohm. So you have low resistance functions on DMMs, on multimeters and so forth, but those have nowhere near the accuracy that you need for true low resistance measurements. DMMs are okay for just checking the things out, that the circuit's working okay or connected all right or so forth, or giving you ballpark figures. But for true low resistance measurement, you need a 4-terminal Kelvin bridge low resistance ohmmeter. A DMM has 2 leads that includes the lead resistance and the surface contact in the measurement, and in that case it's not going to give you a true low resistance measurement of required accuracy for many applications. And with the low resistance ohmmeter, we actually have a 4-terminal instrument that includes what is called a Kelvin bridge arrangement. 2 current terminals on the outside, and note that those are larger because they're going to carry your test current, which needs to be fairly substantial. And then on the inside, 2 voltage terminals. They don't carry any current, and so they don't need to be particularly robust. And when you connect to your test item, the tester knows how much current it can inject through the test item. It will adjust automatically to the load that's on it and inject the maximum amount of current that it can carry without heating. And then the potential terminals will measure the voltage drop between wherever you place those 2 terminals. The tester then knows the voltage, knows the current, calculates out the resistance, which is what you see on the display, and consequently that measurement is free of any lead or contact resistance. It's the pure measurement of the load that you've connected across. The main function of this is for elimination of heat in a test item, and also delivering the maximum or the required amount of current to the load. So for instance, if you can test any electrical equipment with a low resistance ohmmeter, but with respect to electric motors, you don't want to have excess heat. So you want to be certain that the contacts anywhere in that circuit are not exerting too much resistance on the function of the motor and therefore generating heat, which can be a problem, of course, and can, in the extreme case, even lead to fires or lead to protective devices tripping. And you also want to make sure that the maximum amount of operating current is being delivered to the load so that the load is not subpar in the efficiency with which it is operating. And so you want to test any kind of contact in the circuit to make sure that it's at its maximum performance efficiency. You can test armature windings for shorting between adjacent coils or conductors, squirrel cage bars for separation from end plates, loss of power in the motor, or reconditioning tests after bearings have been replaced. Bar-to-bar tests can be performed on DC motors to identify open or shorted coils. This is a dynamic method to determine the conditions of windings and the soldered connections to the riser on the commutator segments. When test data is reviewed periodically, the effects of overheating due to excessive temperature rise can be identified. These are just a few of thousands of tests that can be performed with a low resistance ohmmeter. We have here the DLRO 10HDX. The 10 indicates the test current, which is 10 amps, pretty much industry standard. We do have, Megger does offer other models at other currents up to 600 amps. HD stands for heavy duty. So this is the unit that you want if you're going down into a manhole or some kind of risky or demanding environment like that where the unit is going to get knocked around. You want a ruggedized unit that will stand up to hard treatment. We also offer other models that are lightweight and easily portable, can be worn on the body. These are for applications, for instance, where you're going up on towers or up on transmission or distribution lines and applications like that. Airplane wings is another one where you want to have a lightweight, easily portable unit. They do the same thing measurement-wise, but you want to select your model in accordance to the physical environment that you're going to be working in. Again, we have selector switch, much easier to use in field applications where you might be working with gloves, where you might get distracted and then need to return to the operation, and you want to be able to just look at the panel, don't have to check anything. You can just visual check, tells you where you are, exactly what your setup is, exactly what you've been doing and how far you've gotten along in your testing. So much better for field application would be selector switch rather than membrane switches. Here we're in the off position, and this selector switch shows you the different test modes. So this would be your standard test. Hit the test button, take your measurement, shows it on the display and records it. And note that it's bidirectional. So this will take a measurement forward and reverse polarity and average them. On old testers years ago, the operator had to do that manually. Now the tester does it for you automatically and shows you the averaged measurement on the display. Now if you go to auto mode, this becomes a make and break operation where you can continuously test, and if you wanted to see what the test item is doing over a certain time interval, all you would have to do is make and break the test leads, and you'll get a constantly refurbished, upgraded measurement. And also, you can do this in bidirectional mode, and you can do it in a unidirectional mode. Bidirectional, of course, is where you would have any outstanding voltages on the line from interference with nearby objects. In normal testing, that's so small that it doesn't matter, but when you're testing down at the extreme low end of the resistance range, then very little amounts of interference picked up from circuitry nearby could influence your measurement. So your bidirectional mode will average out those interferences, but if you're certain that you're in a totally quiet environment and you want to speed up the testing a little bit, you can go to unidirectional mode. Then we have continuous mode. This is where the test current continues to run. The measurements are periodically upgraded. This would be for things like measuring a temperature effect, where your test item is heating up and you want to see the changes in resistance over its operational cycle, and you could go to the continuous mode and just continually upgrade your readings for as long as you wish. And then finally, the inductive mode. This gives you the ability to cancel out inductive influences in the environment and on your test item. So motors in particular will have considerable inductance associated with their construction, and the inductive mode then charges up the motor, gives you a series of readings, and the operator can decide when he's reached a steady state, and that's the measurement that he wants to retain. Over here we have your various current selections. Now, the tester will automatically limit the test current so as not to overheat the test item. So you may not get the current that you thought you would, but that's for protection of the test item. The tester can sense that, and it will apply the appropriate test current for the load. But if you want to test at lower currents, you can automatically make a selection on the limitation of the current that you want to apply. And here we have your setup mode. And when you go to the setup mode, you now have your arrow keys and your OK key that will adjust through whatever the parameters are on the particular setup that you're trying to achieve. And then when you get to the number that you want, you hit the OK, and that goes into the memory of the unit. And then now it will test against the parameters that you set up. And here, of course, are your storage and downloading features, and the tester comes automatically with PowerDB software that you can store and manipulate your test results. Okay, now we're going to demonstrate a quick test on a metal bar, and since I don't have 3 hands, we're going to go to the auto mode, and I'm applying the leads across a metal bar. And so note very quickly you have your measurement. So note that it's showing you your forward and reverse measurements in the bottom left, and then the main display, of course, is the average, and so that would be your recorded measurement, 232.1 microohms. And the main point to stress here is that the unit is measuring down on the extreme low end of resistance. You're not going to get this out of a multimeter or any other type of instrument than a true 4-wire low resistance ohmmeter. In the case of our models, they can measure down to a resolution of 1/10 of a micro ohm. And so note your unit of measurement on the right, this is in micro ohms. Because there are so many potential test items, Megger offers a wide range of terminations to make contact with your test item. For instance, we have heavy-duty alligator clips, we have pistol grips, we have concentric probes for difficult access points, and there are quite a few others in our catalog. And note also that these are only the termination section of the lead set. So you can buy one contact for the tester itself, and then a variety of different terminations rather than completely new lead sets for the various test items that you may need to contact. Megger offers a complete line of motor testing equipment, including a line of handheld 1 kV full-featured insulation testers, medium voltage insulation testers going up to 15 kV. The MIT 2500 bridges the gap between low and medium voltage by ranging up to 2500 volts. Low resistance ohmmeters for testing connections and continuity. A power quality meter. A digital camera and heat gun. A full-featured handheld motor tester that can be used anywhere in an electrical system, but primarily concentrates all of the functions you need for motor testing in one unit. And finally, a high-quality multimeter. Thank you for watching. Megger has a complete support team of applications engineers waiting for your call or email, and will be glad to help you with any issue or problem.